Well, good morning, and thank you, Professor Mulliken. That's hard to say that, but it's good to be here this morning. You know, I was thinking, and as I'm gonna have to refer to him as Tom. I can't do Professor Mulliken. I apologize, but and I say that with all the greatest of respect. You know, Walhalla is a far distance from here, and I was thinking as I drove onto this beautiful campus, how many times I've passed by without taking the time to stop and to come onto this campus, and it has been a joy already this morning, and what a great way to start the day by being on the campus of Coastal Carolina University, and we appreciate all the good works that's being done across the different disciplines of higher education here at Coastal, and we are grateful to the work that's being done here at Coastal Carolina as well, and to be in this environment overlooking this new football field as well. And I think that demonstrates how important it is that when athletics and academics work together. I think it's a good model for a lot of other ways where we in society need to be working as well. And I want to say a special thanks to the school for coastal and marine systems science for your leadership and the work that you do, not just in this symposium, but in preparing our students, our young people, for a future. Now, I do also, as I begin my comments, and I will do my best, and I believe I can stay within the allotted time limit of my remarks, because I do want to be sensitive to everyone's time, but I've got to spend a couple of minutes on Professor Tom Mulliken. You know, for him to be a professor here, I think is very fortunate for Coastal Carolina because he brings such a unique perspective and a unique individual, not only from the academic side, but from the reality side of living and working in an environment that provides the opportunities for success. And what he is having the opportunity to teach these students, I think is just, they're very fortunate students to have someone that has had the policy background, that's had the political background, that has had the private sector background, and yet with academia as well. To me, that is the value of education and being in part of a program such as this. And I think I heard him say, and I was trying to listen closely, that a while ago was the last time we was going to hear from him. So if that's the case, I want to take the opportunity right now to introduce someone to his immediate right, a wonderful lady that he is very fortunate to have as his bride for many, many years, and it makes him shine and makes him who he is, Miss Virginia Ann Mulliken. So I'm delighted that he allowed me that opportunity to do that. Just a very dear, very, very dear lady that I have the greatest appreciation and respect for. And we're delighted to have you here today. And I'm delighted to be joined by my colleague, Senator Shaheen, and I'll say a few more words about him a little bit later, and certainly with two of the Public Service Commission members. We appreciate Commissioner Whitfield being here, and also Commissioner Hamilton, who I want to, and I'm sure in the intro that you do for him, but I want to go ahead and recognize both of them in leadership positions with NARUC. But Commissioner Hamilton has actually chaired the Natural Gas Committee of the National NARUC organization. And so, again, I think this demonstrates the caliber of individuals that we have serving on our Public Service Commission here in South Carolina. And I want to publicly thank you all and other members of the commission for the work that you do. And, you know, this, obviously, as I look around the table, and as I see the different individuals that have come together to collaborate and to listen, this is going to be a very successful energy series event. It is, as Tom mentioned, the second symposium, and I'm honored to participate for a second time. As the theme of today is to close the gap between good science and good policy. And that is a critical opportunity that you have and that we have as we sit down together to listen, to communicate, And I want to take this time, too, as an honorary co-chair with my colleague, Senator Shaheen, to thank all the panelists and all the guests who have taken your time. You've invested your time today to come and to share. And many of you, not only from throughout, you know, Tom mentioned earlier, I've traveled from the other end of the state, but many of you have traveled from across our country. And we appreciate the fact that you are willing to come to South Carolina to be a part of this dialogue that is important to South Carolina, but indeed important to our country as well. It was so inspiring. And couldn't help but think, as we saw the presentation of the flags and the hearing of the national anthem, that truly America is a very unique and special place, and energy is critical to our lifeblood and the success of our communities across our region and our state. And so today, what you're doing here at Coastal Carolina is to bring together a diverse group of senior policymakers, energy industry officials, academics, decision makers, stakeholders, to share perspectives, exploring opportunities and understanding challenges of the natural gas production and use. And it is critical that we understand and explore together. And as I continue my remarks, I want to especially highlight our students that are here today, that are part of this program. I want to thank you for being here, because without you being here, obviously, we would not have assembled. But more than that, to me, your being here and your presence gives me great optimism about the future of South Carolina and our country. Because of you, you're engaging in these important issues and providing the opportunity to be great future leaders for our state and our country. And you truly inspire me by the work that you're doing and the work that you will do. From the WIN Symposium, I had the pleasure of being a part of that and to participate in that. And so, yet, it's also important now that we move to another subject of natural gas. It's critical importance for Coastal Carolina to continue to examine what lies ahead with domestic energy production and use. And I emphasize domestic energy production and use. Tom mentioned in the introduction the Public Utility Review Committee. I have the honor of chairing that joint committee that's legislative and public members as well. I have the opportunity of creating a few years ago an Energy Advisory Council. And what I envisioned with that council was to bring the diversity of interest, the complete spectrum, together prior to legislation being introduced, so that they could sit down very much like we're doing here today, to have the opportunity to listen and to have those opinions brought together, and to charge them with finding workable, reasonable solutions and policy on very complicated matters. So far, to this point, they've been extremely successful. I know that Senator Shaheen was involved in the solar energy legislation, that as well as I, but it was the Energy Council was the foundation of the solar energy legislation that passed in South Carolina. And we weren't the first state to do it, but we weren't the last. But I truly believe we've done it best. And it is being used as a model throughout the United States of America. And its foundation was in bringing those parties together for what was in the best interest of the state of South Carolina. So I think in saying that, I wanted to emphasize that this format here today is helpful. And I see it as a parallel type of process of what we've done with the Energy Advisory Council. And I hope that this series will continue with other dialogue as well. Because I truly believe that we have a responsibility to look at how increased natural gas production and use has changed our utility model to this point, because it has been a critical player in our energy sector and our energy use. But it is also important for us to look at what the picture looks like going forward. And I kind of see that as today as well. Building on the success of where we are, but looking at where we're going with understanding the perspectives that are presented. Because in my opinion, what we need is a clear understanding of the possibilities and, yes, the challenges with the natural gas energy sector. And let me take it a step further. That is chairman of the Senate Labor, Commerce, and Industry Committee. It is vital and important, in my opinion, for South Carolina to continue to be successful in economic development, to have affordable, reliable, dependable energy to the economic future, and to make sure that it is a part of an economic climate in South Carolina that makes us competitive with competitors across the region, across the country, and indeed across the world. And I see that going hand in hand with a trained workforce, a solid education of preparing our young people for whatever career they have in front of them that they want to choose from, to make sure that we're providing the economic opportunities here at home, providing good jobs for our citizens. We may not be a natural gas producer, but let me make certain that we have a big stake in the debate locally and nationally on natural gas. The cost of energy, the cost of power, is an important component in any success that we will have here in the state of South Carolina to help make South Carolina fortunate. I think successful and fortunate as well. And we're fortunate to live where we do, to have the variety of things that we have from the energy spectrum. And I guess today I see one important goal, and I think we'll have many, but one that I wanted to touch upon on this symposium is to present the best of the current scientific research on natural gas production and fracking, and to understand reasoned policy perspective analysis of the benefits and challenges to this domestic energy source. And again, I emphasize domestic energy source, having our future in our own hands. Now, as a part of that, and I really want to commend Coastal Carolina University, again, because I don't think that being in an academic setting is so critical. And I've heard so many wonderful things about the work of Dr. Pam Martin, and especially here at Coastal Carolina, and especially, and Tom mentioned earlier, Professor Mulligan, I'll say that again, how she organized the successful experimental learning experience in Raleigh. And there, where environmental stakeholders shared their concerns, a voice that is critical to be involved in the discussion is so important for us in such a great need to have the best of the information from all sources to prepare the most informed public policy. Because, that's one of the things that I would say from a public policy standpoint, and one of the things that I think not only can I speak for my colleague, but for all of us as state senators, that we are citizen legislators. And we're called upon to kind of be the jury on a lot of different issues. I kind of look at us as being a jury of listening to both sides and trying to come up with good public policy, because I truly believe, even when I disagree with my colleagues on perspectives and on positions, one thing that I have confidence in is that we care about the citizens of this state, we care about this state, and having good public policy. My observation has been a lot of times through the legislative process, it may not happen as quickly as I would like for it to happen, but if it is the right thing to do for the people of the great state of South Carolina, ultimately it will happen. So as a policymaker, today is very important. It's an important day to hear from the subject matter experts on natural gas research and development, on production, transportation, the distribution, and the sale and the use of natural gas, because we simply, at our level, do not have that expertise. So today, as I begin to wrap up my comments, let me say it's a wonderful opportunity to be here at Coastal Carolina in this setting. Not only the beauty of this setting, but the location, and it being in an educational setting, I think sets the standard of truly what we are about, is being educated from what the science, evidence-based science and research is, to go along with policy. We do our best to have that opportunity to utilize that, but I would be quick to point out that on occasions, fortunately I think it's more rare than not, that sometimes even with the best in research and the best evidence-based, emotions can thrive, and that's where it's important to have things based on solid foundation of research and evidence-based. Our state and our nation needs this opportunity. We need energy. Our state and our nation needs energy from every safe, environmentally friendly, and cost-effective source that is possible. Because again, we are competing for jobs, and economic development is alive and thriving in South Carolina. And we all benefit, in my opinion, when we have a thriving economic development of bringing jobs and diversity of jobs. But energy is a cornerstone of that success and us being competitive. As I conclude, I want to reaffirm here today a sign of the fact that I hope will not go unnoticed, is that the senator from Kershaw, Senator Shaheen, and myself are here together as co-chairs. I hope that you'll understand that as there's much more that unites us than divides us. Senator Shaheen was the chief architect of the Department of Administration legislation, a tremendous piece of legislation that restructured state government for the first time in over 20 years in the state of South Carolina. And I want to publicly commend him for that and all his other work. But what it demonstrates is that when we work together, there's so many things. And when it's right for this state, when it's the right policy, and when it's right for our people, and that we're friends first, And we work to find solutions with respect when we don't agree on issues. So, Senator, I wanted to publicly thank you for being here and how proud I am to be here with you today on this important subject, and that all of you are taking your time once again to be a part of this today. I'm excited about the outcome. I look forward to hearing the perspectives and the opportunities to learn and to listen and follow the success of these students for many years to come, knowing that we will be better served because of the education they're getting right here at Coastal Carolina University, a great public institution in the state of South Carolina. And I say that as a proud Clemson graduate, how proud I am of Coastal Carolina University and the work that you are doing here across your many spectrum. So as I conclude that, I would conclude my remarks. I would ask that the senator from Camden, Kershaw, join me in presenting to Dr. Gaze this resolution that we had passed in the state Senate. It's a pleasure to present this Senate resolution to congratulate Coastal Carolina University's national academic leadership through their Energy Education Series, Powering America and Energy Education. I'm going to read the first paragraph and not everything. Whereas Coastal Carolina University School of Coastal and Marine Science, System Science, in coordination with the Edgar Dye Institute for Leadership and Public Policy, has demonstrated national academic leadership through their Powering America and Energy Education Series. And it goes on with many other whereases. It's a pleasure for us to present this to you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.